Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kinetic Impressions Movie Reviews. I'm Arnie.
And I'm Andy.
Today we're going to be reviewing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a wushu action flick that takes place inside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starring Simu Liu as the lead Shang-Chi. I absolutely love this movie. I thought it was definitely in the tradition of wushu kung fu movies, just like House of Flying Daggers or like Crouched Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I thought it like fit that mold perfectly, but then it also brought this like fantastical fantasy world to life as well. I really enjoyed the characters. There was definitely some lulls in the middle, but overall, I really, really vehemently enjoyed this movie. Drew, what did you think about it?
Yeah, man, I thought it was it's a perfect like Marvel origin story. It kind of breaks down like the the really good story that I like from like Doctor Strange or something like that, but it puts it in this like it just takes all those strengths and then combines them with like the Black Panther strengths, and I think they mesh really well together in this. I freaking loved it. It's a great Asian, finally an Asian superhero where everyone's kind of Asian actually in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Not an
Yeah,
Iron Fist, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like
yeah. I know that's just so weird, dude. The Iron Fist situation. Yeah, finally they did it right for sure. I had to say, man, I think Simu Lee is an incredible leading man. I really enjoyed the his arc and his story throughout the entire film. I actually Aquafina's performance was really, really nice and nuanced too. I think that she actually brings out some of her best performance in this movie, even though she's like not in it too much. I do like the way that their characters actually end up towards the end as well. I also got to give a shout out to Tony Jaa. Not Tony Jaa. It's Tony Shi, I think his name is. He's the guy who plays his father. I thought he was incredible and brought like this. He kind of brings this like just really nice like. I think he's like probably the most charismatic on screen without being able to say a word. I thought was really, really cool. I also really enjoyed the world building. The world building of this movie was incredible. And the action sequences were also really, really nicely and well done. I really got a lot of like Jackie Chan vibes from Simu Lee because there's just like, especially like the bus scene in particular really brought a lot of those vibes. That's not spoiling anything. It's definitely in the trailer. There's this fight scene that happens on a bus that is just really amazing. And like in that scene, you can really tell that the action has a way that has breadth. It is inventive and it has story within the fight scenes themselves. And I thought that was really, really well done. There's just a lot to like about this movie, man. Any standout moments of this movie for you, man?
yeah, dude. Like I like the Simu Liu, I think is how you say it, and like he's
It's Simu Lee.
Liu. It's not
No,
Lee.
I think it's Lee. I heard everyone say Lee.
Okay. I'm just I heard him say it was Liu like that, but
Mhm.
whatever. Dude, he's a like you said, a fantastic headman, and like I really enjoyed his presence throughout the whole thing. I agree with you on the Aquafina thing. I think her like I think she's just a lot more than comedic relief. I think she actually plays a really cool role in this movie, and I enjoyed the whole thing. I enjoyed it a lot more with her in it. Uh, but like yeah, him as the headman, Simu is like he is strong. He's like he kind of actually goes to be that lovable character that you end up fighting for the whole time, and that's there's no like question about him throughout the whole movie, and that's something I kind of enjoyed. But yeah, like the whole origin story to begin with, like we go into this like the one of the seven cities, the seven magical cities, and the like, and I think this opens up a lot for Marvel. So like I think you can do a whole lot of things in this direction, and I'm really excited to see just this side of the canon.
For sure, and they actually do a lot. It's funny, like last time, like I was talking to a friend about this movie the other day, and he was like not wanting to watch it because he was just all dogging about the way they handled the Mandarin and the Ten Rings in another movie before. Famously the Iron Man 3, and this movie actually touches on that in a really inventive and kind of funny way that you
Yeah.
don't even realize when you're watching the trailers. And I thought that was really fun as well. There's just a lot of really fun, small things in this movie, and I think they do something with flashbacks that is really inventive, and like really harkens back to some like old drama movies. But like the flashbacks in this movie, like really harken to the fact that this is actually a film about family and like the family a family being broken and like trying to bring those pieces together, and that kind of undertones the entire film throughout, and I really really like that aspect of it. And like I also love the way that the music is really good as well. Like I think Disney really put a lot of epicness into this movie, and they really tried to flesh out everything as well as they could. And I think they tried to right some wrongs from Mulan, because they get a lot of backlash from that movie as well. And I really do think that they let the culture of the movie breathe on its own, and it really like all comes together, and it's just a really nice epic scale film that is just really complete. I definitely think that there was like everything hit really well. Like Aquafina definitely had the comic relief, and she did deliver some things. Like there was definitely one or two things that didn't really hit, but like there was just a lot of nuance here. And I like what this movie also does. It allows all the characters to kind of breathe and have their own moments, and I think that happened in spades as well. There is like the only like thing that I would say that I'm kind of harping on is the motivation of the lead antagonist. I get it, and I do believe it. There's just like a mechanism to it that I don't understand, which is weird. And they kind of hint to it by him having kind of like visions of things, but like I also still like don't find it as believable. But honestly, I can just say besides that, it all came together and just really hit really well, man. And I think the third act is it's like another movie. The third act, right? It's like a whole nother it takes place in a different place. It's where the whimsy comes into play, and it's where the world really comes together and just like breathes this incredible like art piece
Well, they
towards the
do a
end.
good job. Like the direction does a really great job of fast forwarding really quickly through the first two acts, and like I feel like it feels very fast paced, but it doesn't feel rushed. If you get what I'm saying, like it doesn't feel like we were just shoved all this information. It like I like how like this is all happening into him really fast, and like we as the audience feel like it's fast. He as a character feels like it's fast. We're all getting all this info just as like as quickly as we possibly can, and then we just go right dab in the middle of the third act. He's at the beginning of the third act he's kind of filled with these consequences that he's about to have to face and these decisions that he has to make, right? So
Yeah,
then immediately we're we're in the like in the absolute thick of this movie, uh and like he is the I mean, he is the proxy. He is that proxy for the audience, and I thought it did a great job about that.
yeah, man, absolutely, yeah, yeah. Will totally agree with everything you said, man. Like, there's just this movie just feels really, it just feels really complete and well done, and it really delivers on everything that you want from a summer blockbuster. It was fun. The action was really super fun and inventive. I really liked how the camera was really a character within the fight scenes themselves. And you really got that in the beginning of the movie. There's this really spectacular fight scene that happens between two of the main characters, and you can really like feel the both the performances and the action kind of coalesce together in a really like beautiful way. And like that definitely harkens back to some of those old mushu kung fu movies. And in this way, and in this movie, I think it kind of elevates that, and it really pays homage to those films. And I think it also brings those types of styles into this movie and elevates it into something more whimsical and beautiful throughout the whole thing. I just think this is really well done, man,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, for sure. We'll get to spoilers here in a second. Is there anything else you want to say about it before we go into that?
No, I like that you mentioned the music earlier. Like I had to look up. I have to look up this guy, Joel P. West, and he's like the only thing I had seen that he'd done like that I really watched was Short Term 12, which is an older Brie Larson indie film, and he had also done Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan. So like those are like his main things as a composer. But I thought I think you're right. Like just with pacing, we see it a lot in like the bigger names, you know, with like the Nolan movies and stuff like that. The pacing of the movie ties like is all tied into the music, and like he just did an awesome job with that. And like I know I'm just repeating a lot of stuff that you said, but like just the beauty of the fight choreography
Yeah.
really does pay tribute. Like it just really did pay tribute to a lot of the classics that came before it. So I just think it's a well-rounded movie. I definitely recommend it. Uh, it is it is the Asian. I'm going to say it's the Asian equivalent of Black Panther. I think we've finally seen a respectable character uh, filled with actual Asians in it, Asian Americans in the movie. I believe our lead man's like Canadian, but like you know like still like he has this presence to him that I absolutely love. Um, it's funny, like you know, it's like it's even you know done, you know, it started out in San Francisco, so it's kind of perfect in that aspect that like it just takes you in a train ride from San Francisco to China, or
Yeah.
like so like I thought like that was perfect. But yeah, man, let's get into spoilers.
Right on. Let's give this a grade, 1 to 10. Right. I think I'm gonna go all the way to an 8.5. I think it was way more above average, really, really epic in scale, and really delivered on a lot of things that I was hoping to see in a good summer blockbuster. It definitely just lulls in the middle for me a little bit, and the exposition bits were a little heavy-handed. And it just kind of there was like just like a solid 30 minutes, so I was just like, let's get going, let's get going. But other than that, this movie's infinitely watchable, and I actually really want to watch it again as well. So that's mine.
Yeah, dude, like when I found it to be a lull, like we had a crazy good action sequence with some twists, some story twists. So like I didn't find it to be as slow paced in the middle as I thought it was going to be. Just reading what I read and reading some of the things I had already read. So like maybe I was like kind of preparing myself for it. So it you know it kind of hit me in the opposite. I'm just gonna. I told myself I was gonna give it an 8.5. So just to not go with you, I'll give it a 9. I'll go up. I'll go up a step.
Totally understand, man. Right on. All right, let's get to the spoiler bits. All right, let me put up that spoiler taggy wag. All right, there was a moment in this movie where his father, the antagonist, alludes to him being called Master Khan. and,
Yes.
and I was just like, wait, did he just say that out of nowhere? Are you telling me, like, if that's true, that means his DNA is in like most of us? That's just like that's a really throwaway line.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. I also really like, dude, the ending where the dragon comes out of the water, and then like towards that entire last fucking fight sequence at the end where it's the battle in that world is fucking incredibly beautiful. It's some of the best stuff that I've seen in a Marvel movie, and I definitely feel like they gave like this. Like I think Marvel just like threw the kitchen sink at this movie to really kind of just like flesh that out. I really, really, really like the fact that Aquafina and the main character actually don't get together in the movie. Just the fact I really like the dynamic of their friendship, and honestly, I could possibly like if they get together, sure, whatever. But like if they don't get together, I would also be okay with that too. I don't know. There's just like this thing about men and women being friends, and it's like we never really see that example in movies, you know. And I really like that as a touch to the whole script and the way that it ended as well. Um, there's definitely some like script things that are a little weird to me. Like the one that I alluded to was his motivations as his father's motivations. Like he saw his wife die, but then like this creature within the cave or in the mountain is like enticing him to break her free from there. And like I can like, you can totally just chalk it up to him just being enchanted of some sort. but I never really like you know they never really like threw in a scene where they were like oh like where she was actually like talking to him and saying that she was alive. He was just given visions and her voice saying come get me.
I
um
always felt like it was just. I think it was just because like the. I mean, he didn't actually see her die, so like he doesn't. Uh, the son does. He sees her dead, but then he takes her back to her, her home city, right? Her like he takes her back so that they have the body, and then I think like he just has. I think it's just played in the movie that he has these visions that she's just behind that, because they didn't let him. They didn't let him into the city. They just let her back in. Like he says that, and he's like, yeah, she's in there, and like I know they're keeping her away from me, and so like that's why he's trying to get back into the city, and like I see where like there is some broken there's some broken moments in the story and the plot for it, but I think they didn't really think it all the way through, but I think they kind of put enough effort for me to like for it to be continuous.
For sure. And honestly, the performances and the story itself really just kind of make up for all of it. The performances are really fucking strong in this movie. The relationship between the father and the mother is really well done. I mean, those two actors apparently like I'm not sure of the female actor, but I know that the antagonist, their father, is like a legendary Asian actor. Like he's been in tons and tons of movies overseas forever. And he's supposed to be like a fantastic actor. I really liked him. He was very charismatic, and like I think he brought something to the villainous role that was something you don't really see in a lot of these movies, especially in the dynamic of him being the father of both of them, and this movie really kind of being a family drama in a lot of ways. It really kind of heightened everything for me because that really brought another level to a Marvel movie. Granted, like a lot of Marvel movies are really about like father stuff. It is kind of like a lot of it is like family drama stuff. But like this was like the first Marvel movie that was like really like well, I guess you could say that Loki and Asgard for sure is the same way. But like this really kind of like I think brought a new dynamic to a family drama within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in that everyone is really at odds with each other in a really a really inventive, nuanced way. But so yeah, like I definitely like I understood his motivations, and the director really kind of like I felt that was kind of heavy handed a couple times where he kind of showed visions and the father just looking in the corner. I kind of would have liked some sort of actual exposition there, for his motivations to do what he did. But the payoff of it towards the end, where he realized his mistakes, and that was the impetus for him to give up his life and give up his rings to his son. It really hit. It really hit. It just fucking landed. It landed really well. I also really liked kind of talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. I really liked how this movie it kind of burst open the MCU in some aspects that we didn't really know about until now because of watching this movie. The scene where Abomination and Wong were fighting in some sort of fight club, and like that was just like out of nowhere. And when that was happening, I was like, wait, is that the fucking Abomination? And then they have a scene later where they're like talking to each other, like they were doing like a WrestleMania thing. That just kind of like brings some other kind of aspects to the whole universe. That's just where's that gonna go?
There was even some stuff in those fight scenes where like uh like I saw some body parts heating up like Iron Fist does, which I thought was
Yeah,
really interesting. So like I really did enjoy that too, man. I'm gonna try, Tony Lang, like Luang. I don't know what I think it's Tony Lang Chue, but this guy is I was looking at some of his movies, and he's in some of this like you were saying, like some of these older traditional movies. I kind of almost want to see a spin-off of how he got the rings or something, like
yeah.
I would totally see an origin story with him in it at the helm because of how strong of a character he was. And I think they could totally bring back a lot of these characters and then make them, make young versions of these older characters that are in this movie, because I think that like that has so much. There's there's so many places you can go with this movie that I think it's really interesting. Um, I know that is it Talo, that like the city that they're originally going to is one of these seven sacred cities, and so I know that like where the Iron Fist is like is the trains is another of one of the seven sacred cities. So we can already go into this seven sacred cities version of Marvel, and I totally want to go and see all the things they can create with this. Just to like you can do so many things just with this storyline without even going and touching any other Marvel storyline, and I think that's super interesting. So I really enjoyed that. I loved there's like a worthiness of super, of why a person's chosen to be a superhero in Marvel, and I've always loved that fact. It's not because, and like nothing against DC, but like it's not just because I'm rich and I can like buy myself everything. It's always just been about like, can you hold the hammer? Like not anybody can just carry this hammer. And like I think like it like so much of the Marvel stories build up to that, to where just given that just throwing with going with that example I just thrown out is like when Captain America picks up the hammer, you are just like in shock.
Yeah,
It's not like, oh, I knew he could do it the whole time. It's like Thor says, I knew he could do it. And like everyone's
yeah.
just
I
like,
knew it. I
yeah.
knew
And
it.
so when and it's a very quick build in this movie, but when Shang-Chi like finally is starting to learn the fighting ways of his mother, it's so beautiful. It's like he knows that the only person that could beat his dad was his mother, so he learns the ways of his mom, and I think that's so fucking strong. So like I love that, and that like finally when they're fighting, that like his dad throws the rings at him as an attack, and he's able to catch them, so he is worthy. And it's like that, exactly what you said,
Mm,
like that clicks in his head. Like his dad is not shocked, he's just kind of like been proven like, oh, my son is also worthy. Nobody's ever caught these rings from me and fought me with them, like. And I love that battle where they're split down the middle and they each have five, and they're
yeah,
fighting like that, and I think that's so strong. And then when he gets them all back at the end and he realizes he's made the mistake, he realizes his entire plan is wrong, essentially, and that's when he finally gives it up to his son. I think that's such a good Marvel way of doing it, and it's very classy, and I really enjoyed that part.
yeah. I mean, there's just so many moments like that that harken back to itself. There's just a really well written script, man. This is like this. There's three screenwriters listed on here. I think one of the director is actually part of the screenwriting team. It's just so fleshed out and so like I keep thinking about this in my head because it's like the only way I can explain it. There's breath. Like there's just like this feeling throughout the whole movie of letting every moment breathe, even in the fighting. That is just and the music itself, actually, like I don't know if you notice this. Like when there's in the heat of a really like massive moment in fighting, the music, the volume goes down, and you can kind of just like hear what's happening in the atmosphere of what's happening on screen. And I really like that whole that's kind of a thing that happens throughout the whole movie. And I really love that aspect of it. It's something I haven't seen before in a movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, do you know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Like there was this like there was like a serenity to everything in the music and then the choreography and everything. And I just really, really love that aspect of it as well. Um,
One of the writers credited, it had me like a little worried when I looked at it, because I was kind of looking at it in the theater before the movie started, and I was kind of doing a little bit of like just digging, and like one of them, his writing credit was like what he's known for is writer for Wonder Woman 1984, and it put such a fucking bad taste in my mouth right before the movie started. I was like, wait a
Oh
minute,
no.
what?
Oh
I was
no.
like,
Oh no.
no,
Yeah.
because like it said, like I had just read that he had done the screenplay for Wonder Woman 84 and Mortal Kombat before this, and I was just like, what did I just walk into? Like,
Yeah.
he does have like great credits before that, which are like the Extendables, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then he's actually writing Into the Spider-Verse 2. But the other guy that he works with closely, so that's David Callahan, Destin Daniel, and he wrote those things. Like I guess that's why the guy who produced the music, he brought him along because
Yeah.
he's also a writer for Short Term 12, Just Mercy, and The Glass Castle. So he brought that music, and I think that's where kind of those subtleties that you're talking about, like even the stuff in the fight scenes and stuff like that, that's where it comes from. It comes from this like indie movie kind of storytelling within this big picture Marvel Cinematic Universe, like action movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great about this movie is that it is both. It's just this like really down to earth story with these good origins, and then we're like at the top of the like the very top layer though is this Marvel movie, and it does such a good way. It does like such a good job of balancing both worlds. I I don't know, man. Like I can't speak highly of like how good of a job Kevin Feige, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like did a great job. Like I mean, he did a great job maintaining the balance in this movie, trying to make people happy while producing such a fucking strong
Absolutely.
picture.
And, speaking of
Especially for
yeah.
I'm sorry, but like
Yeah.
especially for how long of a pandemic this has been,
Yeah.
and how much we've needed something like this. And this is a perfect, like this is just such a perfect summer blockbuster that you don't have one of your main white dudes that carries all your
Yeah.
movies as a part of it. That's
Yeah.
such a smart move.
It's also doing incredible. It just shattered the record for Labor Day
Yep.
weekend that was like on that hadn't been broken since 2006, which is nuts, right? In what is now the era of a pandemic. Like this isn't going to be over. Like this is our new reality for the forthcoming future. It's just the truth. But like if you're vaccinated and you wear a mask and they don't fill up they don't fill up the theaters as much as they used to anymore. It's a safe environment. It really is. I went to go see it in a theater, and this really, really does beg to be seen in a theater. It is such a beautiful film to watch with the full cinematic experience. It is for that environment. Before we get going, I do want to touch on a couple like really cool things. You said like you're right. Kevin Feige did. He is the architect of this entire universe, and like he the kind of like there are like times when other movies, like if they're making a universe, they kind of like ham fist things and kind of like smush them in. This movie like we get closure for the Mandarin from Iron Man 3 in this movie in a way that is kind of fun, and you feel for the guy. Ben Kingsley's in this movie, guys.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Ben Kingsley was the next thing I was going to bring up.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley's in this movie, and he plays like this lovable actor dude who's just kind of there. And he's kind of the crux for the entire third act of the movie. And it pays homage to that movie, to Iron Man 3's Mandarin, which people panned that movie. But it's Kevin Feige saying no. We're gonna bring him back into the family. We're gonna bring Kingsley back into the family.
Let me right my wrongs.
Yeah, let me bring it back. Put that together.
Well, it not only does that, but like I mean, I was kind of gonna have an eye roll moment if like Awkwafina was only gonna be the comedic relief in this movie. You know what I'm saying? Like like you can't just bring her and be like, okay, you're gonna make every fucking joke that we have. And I was like, it doesn't, it's not a great thing like that, because she does play this serious character that is actually ends up being strong. And I think she has a very like Robin vibe to her. Like she is the human sidekick to this superhero.
Yeah,
And
no,
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
that. I love
yeah,
that. So like we can't just have her as the comedic relief the whole time. That's what I kept harping on in the beginning of this review. And so like to bring Ben Kingsley on and to like write the mistakes in the in the writing is like yeah like called me the Mandarin and like he didn't really like that, so like he kidnapped me after I got out of jail. But like whatever, I'm like he's like his new jester kind of type thing, and
yeah,
like and I love it. Like he like it just ties in so well. He's the idiot that finds this magical pet that he's also been captured. I'm like, and like it plays so much on like the end of Iron Man 3 where like Ben Kingsley is this same guy
yeah,
and he's trying so hard to be the exact same character with the exact same comedic relief. Like he's even trying to like sleep with some girl, like flirt with some women at the end of the movie. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and it's so funny, and it does so well in that movie. And it's a character that oh man, I just went blank, but like happy, happy from Iron Man creates,
yeah.
who's
Oh,
the Mandalorian creator?
oh,
Or
John Favreau.
yeah, John Favreau. Like
Yeah,
John, he's like this character that like John Favreau, like I feel like invented for comedic relief, but it plays so well in this movie. And it I think the comedic relief did need a sidekick, and I think this is perfect for it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, those moments. Yeah, really interesting world building too, with the fact that like the so like the world in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that world now, they're like everyone's just kind of used to it now. There's just all kinds of shit that goes on and weird shit happens all the time. Random portals open up with sorcerers walking through it. It's kind of it's I love that that we've kind of gotten another kind of window into the world that the world has become after Thanos for over 10 years. I like that aspect of this movie
Mhm.
as well, and I think that it just does it so well and kind of a masterclass in putting a whole lot of stuff into one movie and doing it well and letting everything breathe too. Um, two tags at the end of the movie. There's a post credit scene where we see two Avengers welcoming Shang-Chi and his sidekick Aquafina into the fold. I thought that was cool. It's harkening to some kind of new thing happening. The rings are doing something weird. We see Bruce Banner. And oh my god! Like dude, Bruce Banner has been done so fucking dirty in these movies. That's the one gripe about everything. And kind of the one reason why I was always kind of like, fucking, I know I say this a lot, but like, Joss Whedon actually likes the Hulk a lot more than every other fucking director, and he gave him a lot more to do.
Yeah.
I really hope that Bruce Banner gets his day in the sun, and I know that Marvel can't really make a Hulk movie because Universal literally owns that. It owns the cinematic rights still. Um, he's just allowed to be in the movies, but he really can't be in his own movie because like the one that they did do with Edward Norton, that was actually co-produced with Universal. Um, but like I hope he has a bigger motion part of this world as well. And then I like the very very end tag, which was actually about Shang-Chi's sister taking over the Ten Rings organization. And then at the end of that, there's a big tag that says the Ten Rings will return. What is that? Like that's going to be something harkening to the rest of the world. Like the Marvel movies are doing it right, and they're building story and worlds, and they've got shit mapped out for at least the next 7-8 years. So I'm excited for that, and this was fucking great. This is great. I'm
Yeah,
just so
the
happy
I
for it.
love that like ending tag. It's like it's so good because like I think in the during the movie, like the her aunt tells her like our town's very different than being raised by your father. It's like women can train here. It's not illegal to like for women to learn
Yeah,
our martial arts and stuff like that. And I think that like you realize early on that like that was such a big like thing in her life that like she never got to learn how to fight from her father and she really wanted to. And so for her to take over the Ten Rings establishment and like and then now you start seeing that it's like females are training there too. Like
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
such a strong moment. I see a lot that like fans really hate Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I mean, like
a lot of it
that's
after the
facts.
fact too.
That's just
Yeah,
facts.
because
You
I
know
think
what I mean? And
I
like
think the movie was received well during the time. It made money. It was successful. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of
people just
vitriol.
hate it. Like people just like I even heard people hating it when it was like they went to watch it and they hated it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay. So like I don't know what it is with all the hate, but it's maybe it's starting to get to me or something. But like there is a pretentiousness that she plays to the character that I don't like sometimes. Because like I think that character is supposed to be a little bit more humble than pretentious. I think it's supposed to have like a Peter Quill vibe is the word I was trying to like where he's like, he thinks he's the shit, but he it's like it's a joke whenever he thinks he's the shit. I think
yeah,
it's supposed to be the opposite. Like she's supposed to think she's the shit and like she can beat up anybody, but she's still also supposed to be a little like kind of silly and stuff like that.
yeah.
So like I just don't like the way that she portrays that sometimes. But like there's some Marvel fans who just fucking hate her. Hate her, hate her, hate her. And I don't know if I agree with it, but like this one just seemed kind of cringy. Maybe I'm listening to it too much, but like that ending tag where she's just like, I gotta go. I got more important shit to take care of. Bruce has my number. And then Bruce is like, no, yeah, I don't have her number.
It is
I don't
kind
have
of
her.
them
I'm like,
shooting themselves in the foot because it does.
what's
You're
going
right.
on? I'm like, and I
Yeah,
was like, why would you? To me, if the fans already don't like her,
yeah,
why would you put that tag there? Is my question to you,
yeah,
because like you've already built her up, right? You've been building her up. I think it's amazing the way she saves the day in the end of Endgame. Like that's like the moments I want to see from her is
yeah,
that she's been hiding in the background. I want to see that beeper, that kind of thing, like the beeper moment where it's like we have one last call to make. Even in the if you're following the What If series, she has a tag on that, like a very similar tag on that. Like she saves the day when there's no one else on Earth to call. And
mm,
I like that aspect of her character. And I think we need to build it more instead of giving her the raw end of the deal. Because I think you're right, actually. You're actually double right, Arnie, because both these two characters that they put in the ending tag get the raw end of the stick
they
now.
do, they do.
And so like I really like to see that. It's always good to see Wong. I
Dude,
can't
Wong's the
wait.
shit. I love Wong.
Wong's the shit. Wong could be in any movie and
Yeah,
people would
dude.
cheer. Like he's in the beginning of this movie. I was hoping he'd be there a lot longer than just that fight scene.
Yeah,
But like, like I'm glad we got the ending tag with him.
awesome, awesome. I think we did it, my man.
Yeah.
Guys, this movie begs to be watched in a theater. If you feel safe, if you feel comfortable, go watch it in a matinee. I did. There was basically nobody in the theater.
Yep.
I loved it.
I saw it in one
I
of
loved
those
it.
Dolby Digital Atmos
Yeah,
theaters
yeah,
that AMC has, and you like it's cheesy. The commercial says it. You feel the sound. Like blah blah blah. The blacks are blacker on the screen,
yeah,
but like the sound system in there, like because the composer's so amazing, like the sound is amazing. To be
yeah,
enthralled into a movie theater again, I miss a movie theater just for that reason.
for sure. All right, man. What do we always tell the fine people of the internet? Uh,
Go fucking watch a movie and
watch
go
this
watch
one.
this movie.
Yeah,
There you
go watch
go.
this one. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.